I've had the opportunity to photograph the F-16 Viper demo several times in the last few years. I've photographed them at Shaw Air Force Base, Charleston Joint Reserve Base, and most recently at Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort. Over the past few seasons, they've changed their paint scheme several times, starting with the original ACC Air Force paint scheme. Then they went with a Viper paint scheme, and most recently a 50th anniversary throwback to the YF-16 red, white, and blue paint scheme.
1,000-pound aircraft.
One of the cool parts about the Air Force demo teams is at the end of the show, they typically have a heritage flight, which includes the demo aircraft and a historical aircraft, typically World War II or Korean War era aircraft flying with the demo aircraft. But more on that later in the video. Photographing a jet demo team is pretty straightforward. With no props or anything to worry about blurring, you can set your shutter speed pretty fast. Typically like to set it 2,000 or higher depending on the lighting conditions. Stop the lens down just a little bit for a little added sharpness. The hardest part is keeping the plane in frame and keeping your focus on the aircraft. With modern cameras, that's usually not too big of an issue. You can get some really cool effects shooting from behind the plane as it's going away from you with the distortion from the heat of the engines. And then you'll have almost a stained glass look effect on the aircraft fuselage, but the wings will still be sharp because they're outside of that haze created by the heat from the engine. As with the Warbirds, I like getting the planes on an angle coming at me, but with the jets you get some really cool effects shooting the plane as it's going away, especially when it's in afterburner and it's pulling G's and creating that vapor. The amount of humidity dictates how much vapor you're going to get off of a jet airplane while it's doing its maneuvers. The more humidity, the more vapor you're going to get. During the demonstration, there's two really good chances to get a good clean shot of the top of the aircraft, and that's during the knife edge pass and then again during the dedication pass. Those give you really good looks at the top of the aircraft. The heritage flight usually comes towards the end of the show and typically involves a historical aircraft from the World War II or Korean War era. And it seems like every time I photograph the F-16 demo, it flies with a P-51 Mustang. for the heritage flight, you're going to want to change your settings just a little bit. You're going to want to slow your shutter speed down to get that propeller blur. If it's flying with a World War II type fighter with a propeller, if it's flying with a Korean era jet, then it really doesn't matter. But definitely with a propeller-driven warbird, you're going to want to slow your shutter speed down, typically below 1/300th of a second or lower, so that you get some prop blur. In order to do that in bright light, which is the typical shooting case for shooting an air show, you're going to need to stop your lens down. Just remember, beyond about F-16, depending on your lens, you're going to start getting softness due to diffraction. Another option is to use a neutral density filter to help slow your shutter speed down without having to stop the lens down as much. I typically don't do that. That can mess with your autofocus system, and it's just, to me, it doesn't seem necessary most of the time. I can usually stop down to F11 or F13 and still get the desired effect with the shutter speed I want. Once the show's over, it's not quite over yet. You still have opportunities to shoot the aircraft when they taxi back. Typically, airplanes close to the ground at an air show, you get a lot of heat haze. But when they taxi back, especially if you're in a location where they will taxi close to you, that is pretty much mitigated because the distance is not that great. So get out to your next air show and show some love for your armed forces, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching.